Hey guys, welcome back to Enjoying School at Home. I'm Robin and I have 5 kids ages 7 and under. Today I'd love to share with you about intentional book grouping in my home, what that looks like, and give a couple examples of what I put in those book groups and why I do it that way. Intentional book grouping is something I do all year long. It's not just in the summer, however, I am going to showcase what I've done for my summer topics. And if you have not checked out my summer lesson plans, not school lesson plans video, I will link it at the bottom. You can check that out just if you want to have some ideas on extra topics that don't typically come up in the normal school year and why we study those in the summer. What I like to do is go through the house, filter through all of the books, and we have books in a lot of places. We have bookcases in each of the kids' bedrooms. They have their own set of books. We have school books. I have readers in the pantry. I have classics that I keep a little bit higher up and out of the way. So I will go through all of these book storage areas and pull out any book that I think applies to a certain topic or subject that I know I want to focus on. The reason why I like doing it this way is because it creates more conversation around those topics, more opportunity for teaching and learning moments as we talk about them, and it kind of themes it out, I guess, and I enjoy that as opposed to having all of these books, these wonderful books that just get lost in the crowd and we don't ever get to really appreciate all of them. At some point, I would love to do a video discussion about living books versus twaddle, but I do not feel equipped to have that conversation yet. You hear those terms a lot in classical education settings, and as I'm still learning as I go, I just know that I'm not ready to get up in front and make a video about living books and twaddle and all that entails. So I will say that some of the books in my stacks, and when I do intentional book grouping, they're not always of the highest quality. Sometimes they are great, and sometimes they're not, and I'm okay with that right now because I do have itty bitty. I have not, sifted through my whole house and thrown out all the twaddle. A lot of time, the lower quality books, they stay in reach of toddler hands or baby hands, and that is what they just are getting their hands on books, and so they get a little more beat up and torn up, and I'm okay with that. We end up with these books. I did not go out and buy all of them. We end up with them from grandma and holiday when, grandparents and neighbors and families gift books for different seasons throughout the year, or picking them up at the grocery store or book fair or anything like that. So after I have searched through all of my kids' bedrooms and all the bookcases in the playroom and pulled out whatever theme I'm going to be focusing on for the next usually about 2 weeks, then I keep them in a basket on a bookcase in my living room. So we like to read these as part of our circle time or in the evenings with dad or in the afternoons after lunch. I love that because I have them all in one basket. I've already pulled them out and put them in one spot. They're right there next to the couch in the living room. So I, as a mom, am a lot more likely to call them over to read after lunch and before maybe we switch to screens for rest time to keep things quiet. So at least then I'm getting to incorporate some reading with them before we flip into nap time or any sort of screen time that they've earned. But I'm not going to show all the book baskets I've done because obviously I'll do a Christmas one. We'll throw all of our Christmas books into one. In the spring, we'll do a lot of more social, emotional skills until we hit Easter. Then we'll do Easter books that are both Christian and fun Easter Bunny stuff. So then we move into our summer topics, and this is something that's just ongoing throughout the year. And I'm sure that as time goes on, the books will mature and change as my children grow and mature. We'll definitely move more towards, I think, into a read aloud of chapter books and with their different interests and where they're at with school. Okay, so every summer we like to spend a few weeks going over gardening and nature. And this book, The Bug Hotel, is great for my toddlers and even my preschoolers. My toddlers love it for the Lift a Flap book, and my preschoolers love it because it does offer a lot of information, and I do have one kid who is a bug lover, and so that's a great one. Up in the Garden, Down in the Dirt is one of my personal favorites. I've always really enjoyed this book. And then in the back, it has an awesome glossary if you want to look up different animals or things happening that were mentioned in the book. The Busy Tree is not so much gardening, but it is nature, and we do enjoy this one as well. And How Does Your Garden Grow? A little bit of an old sentimental book for me. It was given to me when I was 2 by my grandmother. The Biggest House in the World, Eddie's Garden, and We Are the Gardeners. And we've enjoyed all of these books a lot. Each of my kids has their own favorites within this group, and we just love reading them. And if I get all the way through them, we'll read them again. And that's perfectly okay if we have a lot of extra reading time. If we don't get to every book in the basket, then that's okay too. The point is not to check things off the list, it is just to spend time reading together and enjoying a topic, creating conversation space around that topic. And I feel like book grouping helps really do that. Another topic is on body safety and personal awareness. I do recommend having a few books on this topic. If it makes you a little bit uncomfortable as mom, you can always speak to a professional, a counselor, or somebody who can give you advice on how to speak with your kids about it. But I think it is important to try to create space for those learning conversations to happen. We do have a few books on this topic, and it is God Made All of Me. Let's talk about body boundaries, consent, and respect. I like this one because it is also about consent and respect. This first book I mentioned, they also talk about surprises. A good surprise versus maybe or a good secret surprise, and maybe a not so good secret or surprise. And then also who has what. And I felt like this was pretty modest. It's not entirely modest because the point of the book is to explain things to littles. This has helped me have those conversations without them being uncomfortable. So I mentioned social emotional skills being another topic in our book basket. Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, My Mouth is a Volcano, Personal Space Camp, I Need a Hug, which is definitely more toddler oriented. And then the one behind that, Grumpy Monkey. And all of these have been good for my kids in one way or another. And they're good to go back and revisit occasionally. And then this book is super worn. We picked it up just walking through a bookstore one day, and I didn't think I would like it as much as I did, but the kids love it. They're just super entranced when we read this book. But it goes through each of the different identifies feelings, and this is when I feel happy. This is when my heart is brave, and it goes all the way through. And so it's called In My Heart. And this has been a family favorite of ours. And then, of course, if you are familiar with What Should Danny Do books, these help. I feel like they're more towards the preschool age, and they are helpful in teaching them the power of making the right choice. Manners and etiquette has been another topic for our summer kind of lessons that we're going through. Connoisseur Kids is have been using with my school age children, so my second grader and my first grader, and we talked about eye contact and posture. They have several subjects in here. I would just pick a few. I wouldn't. For me, going through the whole book is not really ideal at this time, but I have enjoyed what I have gone through. The shoulds and the should nots. My children love this book, all of them, from my 7-year-old down to my 2-year-old, and we will sit together. They love going through all the topics, and I'm just flipping through a random pages here, but what as far as what you should do and should not do, whether it's interrupting or using utensils, and they really enjoy it. Do Unto Otters, a book about manners. We have had a lot of fun with this book. We turned it into a bit of a game, a family little song. We'll sing doody doo to each other, and that's something that came from this book. And it goes off of do unto others as you would have others do unto you, but they just made it fun. And so it says doody doo unto otters, how you would have otters doody doo unto you. So when we say doody doo to one each other, to each other. We're reminding each other about something related to manners. This is our living room book basket. This is where I put those collection of books when I'm focusing on a certain topic. But when I'm not focusing on anything or theming out the next couple weeks, I like to have classic storybooks in here. So Grimm's Fairy Tales, Uncle Wiggli's Storybook, Kindergarten Stories, Hans Christian Andersen's Fairy Tales, um, The Children's Book of Virtues, Make Way for McCloskey, and Other Stories, some Usborne and Aesop Fables, and a few Richard Scarry books. I love having these in here because I can grab one and it's still just one story at a time and everyone can enjoy it. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed getting a little glance into how we do intentional book grouping in our home so that we can have more conversation around topics that we enjoy. Please subscribe for more Enjoying School at Home videos.